Thousands of anti-racism demonstrators have flooded the streets of Boston to dwarf a gathering of white nationalists in the city, triggering scuffles with police but avoiding the deadly violence that marred last week's Virginia rally. A so-called free speech rally by far-right groups had been scheduled to run until 2 p.m. yesterday local time, but shortly before that police escorted its dozens of participants to safety past the throng of anti-racism protesters. Aerial images show the counter-protesters filling one of Boston's main streets for several blocks, in a huge outpouring of anti-racist sentiment in the strongly Democratic northeastern city. Local media cited police estimates of at least 15,000 protesters, with some reporting that up to 30,000 marched. The event took place at a time of anguished national debate over racial relations, a debate fanned when U.S. President Donald Trump defended some participants in last week's white nationalist and neo-Nazi rally in Virginia as very fine people. Counter-protesters vastly outnumbered the Boston free speech rally attendees. While Boston saw no repeat of the violence that erupted in Charlottesville, Virginia, there were isolated scuffles between police and protesters, and about 20 arrests were reported, prompting Mr. Trump swing his weight behind the city's law enforcement. "Looks like many anti-police agitators in Boston," he tweeted as the march drew to a close. "Police are looking tough and smart, thank you. Great job by all law enforcement officers and Boston Mayor at Marty_Walsh," he added. Counter-protesters paid tribute to Heather Heyer, the woman killed at the Virginia rally. Hundreds of police, some in helmets and black riot gear and armed with wooden clubs, helped to separate the rival camps. According to a photographer at the scene, police used anti-riot gear and batons to prevent counter-protesters from reaching the venue of the white nationalist rally, leading some to accuse police of defending Nazis. Crowds booed or harassed free speech demonstrators as they walked to or from the venue, while Boston police tweeted that rocks had been thrown at its officers. Authorities in Boston had protectively ordered a strict ban on weapons in the rally area, and ordered garbage trucks and concrete barriers placed around the venue to prevent vehicles from entering. Thousands of counter-protesters had convened in two groups before the main rally, chanting "No Nazis, no KKK, no fascists in the USA." One month sign read "Stop pretending your racism is patriotism." A Pone man held a sign that read "Stop pretending your racism is patriotism," and a woman's sign said "Muslims welcome, racists out." "It's time to do something," said Katie Zips, who traveled to Boston for the counter-demonstrations, which were organized by an amalgam of mostly left-leaning groups. "We are out here to add an extra body to add to the numbers of those who resist," she said. Some local restaurants promised to donate their proceeds from yesterday's business to left-leaning groups, and others refused to serve the white nationalists, with one posting a sign that said, "Hope you Nazis pack the lunch." Boston Mayor Marty Walsh had warned in a tweet he would not tolerate violence or property violence of any kind. "I ask everyone to be peaceful today and respect our city. Love, no hate. We stand together against intolerance," he added. Thousands of people turned out to counter-protest the Boston rally. A young woman was killed last weekend when an avowed white supremacist rammed his car into a group of counter-protesters in Charlottesville, and Mr. Trump's muted response to the violence has plunged his embattled administration deeper into disarray. In remarks throughout the week, state and local officials had emphasized that there was no place for hatred and violence in the historic Massachusetts city, but they also preparing for any eventuality. "I just think the rhetoric has really brought this to a different level, and that's what we're worried about," Boston Police Commissioner William Evans said Friday. "I've never seen so many people almost looking for confrontation. You know, we gotta knock it down." Copyright 9 Digital Tie Limited 2017.